I do not just say, this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. I want to make sure.
You have doubts?
Because if I have doubts and that is my brother, baby, I still want to be there.
No,
my
because
brother's
I
not
don't
there
want you to
for
be there.
him.
If you have doubts, there's no need for you to be in my child's life.
That's exactly why my brother said he didn't know.
I asked her mother that Jasmine was my firstborn, and that was good enough for me, Your Honor. We went on and had 4 more children after that, and they all belong to me. Now, my point in here, he would have addressed me before he sent her a Facebook or whatever. I know he couldn't be able to find me because we had no contact with each other.
She said her and her husband does a good job of taking
Fiance,
care.
and he do.
No,
and he do.
That's a text
and he
that
do.
was sent
and he do.
to me.
He has been a much better father than Quincy.
So,
trust that, because he stepped up. My daughter is going to call him dad. Quincy never been around.
Mrs. Thayer kicks off by hoping to glue what's left of her marriage back together. And boy, does she mean business. She's here to prove that Mr. Thayer is indeed the daddy-o of not one, but 2 munchkins, Cadence and Matthew Jr. Sounds like a Maury episode, doesn't it?
Miss Thayer, you are here today in hopes of saving what is left of your marriage. In doing so, you've summoned your husband, Mr. Thayer, to paternity court to prove that not only did he father your 19-month-old daughter, Cadence, also your 3-year-old son, Matthew Jr.
Mr. Thayer's on stage with trust issues thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. He's ready to hit the divorce button if the kiddos turn out not to be his. Talk about drama.
You say you absolutely do not trust your wife, and you are prepared to get a divorce today when the results reveal that either one or both kids are not yours.
We don't even have sex anymore. What married couple doesn't have sex? We're young. The back and forth arguing all the time. We argue so much that my son starting to get mad and yell and repeat some of the stuff that we say.
Oh yeah, they did. The Thayers initially signed up for a no-strings-attached fling, and now look where that got them. This backstory is juicier than a season finale cliffhanger.
So this doubt is wreaking havoc in your marriage.
Yeah, in my mind, we're basically separated because we don't sleep in the same room no more. When we're around each other, she's on her phone. We just sit in the same house and we don't even communicate no more. I don't feel that connection with her. Or the kids, for that matter.
All of this is because of the doubts regard to the paternity of the 2 youngest children.
Ms. Thayer hit Mr. Thayer with the "Ol' I'm pregnant" surprise, and suddenly things got real. This wasn't in their casual fling contract, folks.
At some point, you find out you're pregnant.
Yes, I didn't know what to say because I wasn't planning on having any more kids. I mean, I had 3 girls already, so I was already single mom.
Were you all using protection?
No.
Fail to plan to fail.
And then I believe she was pregnant before we even got together, because Matthew was born 3 weeks early. She told me about 3 weeks in that she was pregnant.
The emotional gloves are off, and these two are throwing accusations like confetti at a parade. Mr. Thayer's doubting the entire timeline, and honestly, who can blame him?
But you claim she was with somebody else approximately 3 weeks before.
It hurts. I mean, I love him or I wouldn't have married him. This is the person that I want to spend my life with.
This is my first child too, Your Honor. I was excited because I didn't have no kids, I didn't have a family or anything, and she was gonna give that to me. That I can grow with and I can watch them grow and I can teach them all the things that they're supposed to do in their life that I didn't do in mine.
Cue the suspicion music because Mr. Thayer can't figure out how they made baby Cadence when the bedroom's been colder than a penguin's toenails. Yep, he went there.
Your doubt surrounding Cadence. That is your younger child. You all have 2 children together, potentially.
Yeah, because around the time that she was conceived, we weren't really having sex.
Find out she's pregnant again and immediately doubt.
How are we gonna have a kid if we don't have sex?
So you testified earlier, Ms. Thayer, that you were in a sexless marriage.
Yes. I mean, when he's talking about with Cadence.
The results are in, and oh snap, it's not looking good for Ms. Thayer. The machine tagged her as more deceptive than a fox in a henhouse.
You'd like to tell us before I read these results.
Like I said, the only people that I messed with was during the break that we had that he's talking about where I moved out.
Ms. Thayer, you were asked, in the last 4 years, have you had sexual contact with anyone other than the 2 men you have previously disclosed? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
Drum rolls, please.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Thayer, you are the father.
I told you.
One of them.
I told you.
We still need Matthew.
You won't believe this. The crowd goes wild when Ms. Moore throws shade, claiming Mr. Butler's wife is playing puppet master with his doubts. Ms. Moore is all fired up, telling everyone that the only reason Mr. Butler is second-guessing fatherhood is because of his wife's sneaky ways, causing quite the stir among the audience. And guess what? The drama's just getting started.
Mr. Butler has doubts he fathered your 1-year-old daughter, and that's because of his manipulating wife. Mr. Butler, you argue you've been told on multiple occasions allegations by the plaintiff herself that you are not her child's father.
Oh snap. Here comes Mr. Butler with his own side of the story, doubting he's the daddy because Ms. Moore once told him he wasn't. He lays it out, recounting times Ms. Moore straight up denied his paternity, which gets the judge digging deeper. Buckle up because the roller coaster is about to drop.
One time was because he was harassing me, him and his so-called quote-unquote wife.
So you admit, Ms. Moore, you told him you're not the child's father.
One time.
It's happened because she told me I'm not the dad. She told me I'm not the father.
Why would she tell you that?
The baby don't even look like me.
This just got real. Ms. Moore and Ms. Harrison are now locking horns over whether Mr. Butler did his part as a dad. The clash heats up over some juicy texts about another dude stepping up as dad, showing just how messy this situation is. Keep your eyes peeled because there's more tea coming your way.
And he do.
That's a text that was sent to me.
He has been a much better father than Quincy.
So,
trust that.
my husband do a good job keeping me and...
Because he stepped up. My daughter is going to call him dad. Quincy never been around.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. We're diving into the nitty-gritty of the pregnancy timeline, the court questioning when exactly Ms. Moore got pregnant. This critical convo throws some serious doubt on Mr. Butler's paternity claims. The plot thickens, and you'll want to stick around for the next twist.
The baby looked just like Quincy. Now, if she can't do the math, that's her problem. She needs to sit down. December 11th, the doctor told me I was 7.5 weeks.
And the baby was born...
July 26th. I had 2 dates. I had an emergency C-section on July 26th. Was Quincy anywhere to be around? No.
Tell me.
Here's a heart tugger for you. Ms. Moore shares the tough tale of her labor and the emergency C-section. It's a crucial point that highlights just how intense things were during the birth, with Mr. Butler nowhere in sight. The emotions are high, and the next part is sure to tug at your heartstrings even more.
My doctor came in and told me that my baby's heart rate was going down. She was getting less oxygen. I did not see my baby. I went to an emergency C-section. Out of recovery for 45 minutes, I touched my baby and signed my baby off, which is the city that he stays in. I did not tell him where my baby was. I know how mental he is.
Can you feel the drama heating up? Mr. Butler confesses he's torn about his role in his maybe daughter's life amidst the ongoing feud with the two leading ladies. His admission sheds light on his personal turmoil and the tangled web of emotions surrounding the paternity mystery. And hold tight, because the truth bomb is just about to be dropped.
That's because it's being tugged on.
I'm playing tug of war. If it's come back to be my daughter, I'm not gonna never see her.
And what is it? You feel like Ms. Moore wanted to be with you, and since that didn't work out, Zamar's her way of getting back at you?
Yes, ma'am.
Here it comes, big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Butler, you are her father.
Buckle up, folks! Ms. Sherman kicks things off by accusing Ms. Costello of mooching off her sad aunt both emotionally and financially. She's adamant that Ms. Costello is claiming her late brother fathered Ms. Costello's kiddo, and she's here to stop her aunt from spending a dime on a kid that might not be related. Stick around, it's just getting juicy.
Ms. Sherman, you claim the defendant is taking advantage of your grieving aunt emotionally and financially by claiming your deceased brother is her child's father. You need today's results because you won't allow your aunt to support a child who is not your brother's.
Things are heating up. We dive into the emotional deep end. Ms. Costello spills the beans about how supportive Ms. Thomas, the aunt, has been. Throwing baby showers, buying diapers, the works, all while denying she's taking advantage of anyone. She insists it's all on the up and up. Trust me, you'll want to see what's next.
My aunt threw Marissa a baby shower. She supports this baby financially, as in buying his diapers, his clothes, his food when he is at the house.
That's his family.
We don't know that.
To decide to
we don't
do
know
that.
that. We don't
Erica
know
was
that.
there with me at the hospital.
We don't know
when
that.
I had the baby. She videotaped the entire thing. And when Ryan was born, she saw the crown of his head and said, he is a Sherman.
Hold on to your popcorn. Ms. Costello lays out her love timeline like a soap opera, breakups, makeups, and everything in between. She details the roller coaster relationship with Ryan, adding layers of complication to the paternity drama. It's a hot mess and a half, and there's more chaos to come.
I found out I was pregnant in the middle of March. At that point in time, I contacted Ryan and I told him, hey, I think I'm pregnant. And at that point in time, he was like, well, is this my kid? And I said, well, I started to talk to somebody else. He started to talk to somebody else. And then towards the middle of, after me and the other guy had intercourse with each other, probably about a week later.
You're not ready for this twist. Ms. Sherman throws down the doubt card hard, fueled by rumors and whispers from her late brother about the baby's paternity. The convo takes a dive into their past flings and flirts, stirring up a paternity potboiler you can't miss. The tea is piping hot and it's about to spill.
I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. I want to make sure. You see how my aunt is looking? how she is crying?
You have doubts.
Because if I have doubts and that is my brother, baby, I still want to be there.
No,
my
because
brother's
I
not
don't
there
want you to
for
be
him.
there. If you have doubts, there's no need for you to be in my child's life.
That's exactly why my brother said he didn't know.
Guess what? The results are in.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Nalencia Sherman and Ryan Costello Sherman is 97.8%. You are related.
In a twist right off the bat, Ms. Osborne drops a bombshell, accusing her mom of fudging the truth about who her real dad is, insisting it's gotta be Billy Jack Fitzmaurice. They've even called in the big guns with a paternity test to settle this family feud once and for all. Buckle up, because this family roller coaster is just leaving the station.
Ms. Osborne, you have brought your mother to court because you claim she lied to you about the identity of your biological father. You are here to prove Billy Jack Fitzmaurice is your dad. Finally prove the truth. You admit your daughter believed that Mr. Fitzmaurice was her dad, but now stand in court to prove that another man is her biological father.
When Savannah was just 12, out of the blue, her mom hints there might be another dad candidate on the scene. This bomb drops while they're chilling and watching TV, sparking a family drama that sends Savannah dialing her aunt for some serious backup. Grab your popcorn, folks. This soap opera's got more twists coming right up.
We were just sitting watching TV, and all of a sudden she looks at me, she says, you know, there's a possibility that another man could be your father.
And what was your reaction?
At the moment, I didn't know what to do. I kind of just left the room, went and called my aunt.
What happened?
Savannah was very upset because she thought that Billy, my brother, was not her father. I assured her that I believe 100% that Billy is her father.
Donna admits she let Savannah believe Billy was her pops because his family was stable enough to give her a good life. It's a bit of a whoopsie moment that opens a can of worms about family secrets and who's who. Hang tight, because there's more tea about to be spilled.
Yes, I told her that another guy could be her father, but I never told her that Billy Jack was her father.
For 12 years, who were you saying was her biological father?
I didn't say who was her father. And at the time his family took her in, I was young. I knew that they would have a good life for her, and they stepped up and asked to take her, and I knew that they could provide a better life for her at that time.
It's heating up as Donna spills the beans about juggling romances with Billy Jack and another mystery man during the crucial baby-making time. This confession tosses a wrench into the Who's the Daddy mystery, setting the stage for some major drama. Keep your eyes peeled. Plot's about to thicken.
Because I was back and forth between the two, I was with the other guy a lot more than I was with Billy Jack.
During the window of conception, you were sleeping with both men?
Yes. I just feel in my heart that the other guy is her father.
And I see you can't even look at your mother right now. You're not even turning your head.
Because I just want to know the truth of who my father is.
Savannah lays it all out, confronting her mom about the daddy dilemma that's been gnawing at her since she was 12. It's a full-on emotional unload where secrets spill and tears flow. This is some grade A drama. Guess what? It ain't over yet. There's more heart-to-hearts on the way.
It really feels horrible to not know who my real father is. After growing all these years to believe somebody else was my father, and it couldn't be.
I am sorry, Savannah. You was young. When you was 12, figured that you was old enough to be able to handle it. So I waited to help you because I didn't know how you would react being so young and me telling you that, if it would confuse you more.
You can almost hear the sad violins as Savannah talks about the pain of dragging her mom to court over this paternity pickle. It's a rough ride, and she's just looking for some honest answers. Don't go anywhere. Auntie's about to step into the spotlight, and she's got a story to tell.
At the end of the day, it must hurt that you had to drag your mother to court today.
Yes, it really does, but I need to know the truth. Brought up on a lie, I have to know.
Because the young woman you believe is your niece.
Yes, Savannah is my niece, and I love her dearly. And we were always told from day one from Donna that Savannah was our I call her our baby, but our niece.
Auntie Brooks jumps in with a backstory that's part soap opera, part reality TV. She reminisces about the shock and awe of Donna joining the family under, let's say, colorful circumstances. The family saga unfolds with more layers than a reality TV show marathon. And yep, there's even more juicy bits to come.
So when he brought Donna home, we were a little shocked because at the time she was working as a stripper. We didn't know what to believe, but we believed my brother, Donna, both when they said that Billy was her biological father, that she was pregnant with Savannah, and that was our family.
I had told both men that I was pregnant.
And now we're talking about whether these sisters might have different dads, which just adds more spice to this already zesty family gumbo. The chat turns to similarities, suspicions, and family whispers that have everyone guessing. Stay tuned, because the DNA results are about to drop.
So growing up, you just felt like I have a sister, but we have two different fathers.
I also believe Billy could be her father.
Oh, really?
Because at the time that Donna conceived Miss Patton, she was also with my brother, back and forth between my brother and the other man. And I see similarities between Mrs. Patton, this is his other daughter here, Marissa, and Savannah.
And bam!
It has been determined by court. Ms. Brooks and Savannah are related.
Here we go. Miss Hayslip rolls up with a big claim, ready to stir the pot. She's here to prove that Mr. Hayslip, who she insists is her dad, really is her biological father. She's even brought her aunt along because, hey, you gotta have a cheer squad for moral support, right? This is just the opening act, folks. The scene is set for some real family drama.
You are seeking a DNA test to prove that Mr. Hayslip, the defendant, is your biological father. You've believed he is your biological father for many years, yet you say he has never allowed you into his life at the time of your conception, but you claim you were always told that Mr. Hayslip was your father.
And bam, the plot thickens. Mr. Hayslip fires back, determined to prove he's not the father. He's been dishing out child support for 19 years, and now he's had enough. He even wants Miss Hayslip to drop his last name like it's hot, no matter what the test results say. Stick around, because you won't believe what he says happened to him next.
Now, Mr. Hayslip, you say you want to prove that Miss Hayslip is not your biological daughter today. You admit to being very angry because you claim you've been forced to pay child support for the past 19 years for a child you did not father, so that she no longer has yours after today's test results are revealed.
Yeah. Hold the phone. This just got juicy. Imagine minding your own business, driving, and boom, cops pull you over and drop a child support bomb on you. That's Mr. Hayslip's story, and he's sticking to it. He had no clue until a cop slapped cuffs on him and spilled the beans. What's next? Miss Hayslip's going to hit you right in the feels with her side of things.
I had moved from southern Michigan to northern Michigan. I was on my way back, about a 200-mile trip to southern Michigan. I was pulled over for speeding. He said, you have a failure to pay support.
And this was the first time you're driving along routine traffic stop and they say this to you?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, they handcuffed me, and when they did, I was pretty mad, and I struggled a little bit with him.
Grab your tissues! Miss Hayslip shares how she grew up always believing Mr. Hayslip was her dad because, well, that's what her mom told her. Despite him being more ghost than dad, she hung on to that belief. But wait till you hear about the plot twist at school that cranks up the drama to a whole new level.
That you were told as a child.
As I was growing up, I knew David as my father. And then my mother would tell me that he had nothing to do with me. He never wanted anything to do with me, but was trying to get with her.
As a child, what's your first memory where your mother told you?
It was around 5. She told me that he could be my father, but earlier she always said David Hayslip.
Talk about a schoolyard scoop. Miss Hayslip and a girl named Courtney Hayslip discover they might be sisters. That's one heck of a how's your father moment, literally. They piece together their family puzzle right between math and lunch period. You won't believe the bombshell Miss Hayslip drops next about her stint in foster care.
I met one of the Hayslips in school, which is Courtney. And I told her that my dad was David, and she also said that was her father. And she went home to my Aunt Susie and told her that she met me. My Aunt Susie told the truth.
Up until that point, you all going to the same school and don't know
Yes,
you're
Your Honor.
potentially sisters?
Yes.
For a long time, they rode the same school bus and didn't even know it.
Here comes a heart-wrencher. Miss Hayslip throws down the big question. Why didn't Mr. Hayslip take her in, leading to her long years in foster care? It's a moment that could make onions cry. Just you wait until Mr. Hayslip spills the beans on his legal battles. It's a real doozy.
And then finally, after several months, she finally set it up to where that I could meet Celeste. My first impression of her, I thought she looked a lot like me when I was little. We had a bond that we had connected, and then we started getting close, and then her mother, a long time, and the next thing you know, they put her into foster care.
5.5 years.
I just want to know why, if you knew me back then, why didn't you try to get it taken care of back then?
Strap in for some legal labyrinth tales. Mr. Hayslip dives into how he's been duking it out with the law, trapped by a default paternity rule. He's convinced it's all a big mistake, but the drama is just heating up because his daughter Courtney is about to step into the spotlight with some skepticism of her own.
That's not even part of my family, and I've fought, it's Cass County, Michigan. Every month, I have filed paperwork with them. They deny me. Since I didn't answer the letter, the original letter, for the blood, back then it was a blood test, then I was deemed the father by default. And then they're saying there's nothing I can do to get a DNA test. I'm just, for 18 years, I'm stuck paying child support no matter what because I had a fling.
Cue the suspense music. Courtney Hayslip steps up and shares why she's not buying the sister story. Turns out Dad never mentioned anything about having another daughter. If secrets were a sport, Mr. Hayslip might be league champion. But hold on to your popcorn. The DNA results are up next, and it's a real cliffhanger.
Are you doubtful that she is your sister?
A little bit, because I've never been told about her. I wouldn't think that he would deliberately try to hide something from the family if he knew it was his.
I had 2 other children from another mother. After my marriage had broken up,
yes,
I had gotten with someone else. I did not hide those children from them or anything. I told them straight up, hey, you got a brother, you got a sister, here they are, let's meet them.
You can't make this stuff up. DNA results are in, and guess what?
In the case of Hayslip versus Hayslip, when it comes to Celeste Hayslip, Mr. Hayslip, you are her father.
So get this, Mr. Thompson strides in, totally convinced he's the dad. He's like, I've never met Ms. Robinson, but today's DNA test will totally show she's mine. Stick around to see how Mr. Fresneda reacts to that bomb.
Mr. Thompson, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Fresneda, to court to prove that you, not he, fathered Ms. Jasmine Robinson. You've never met Ms. Robinson, but say today you'll prove she's yours.
Plot twist. Mr. Thompson spills the beans about his past fling with Ms. Robinson's mom when Fresneda was out of the picture. He dipped out when Fresneda came back, but now he's all, she looks like me. The next bit will have you rolling.
Me and her mother had relations while Miss Fresneda was away. When Miss Fresneda came back into the picture, I stopped seeing Sonia, and she was pregnant. Child was born. Family members came to me stating, that she looks like me and things of that nature. Sonia said no, she knows who she got pregnant by.
Here's the kicker. Thompson got a call that Robinson's mom passed away, and apparently her last wish was this paternity test. He's here with heart on sleeve, trying to prove he's the dad. Up next, Ms. Robinson drops her side of the story, and it's a doozy.
It's sorry to say, but, I got a phone call saying that she had passed away. And I was like,
are you speaking of Jasmine's mother, Ms.
Yes,
Robinson's mother?
Yes. It was her wishes to say that it was Mr. Fresneda's baby. They raised her, but I'm here today to prove that I am the father. In my heart, she's my daughter.
So, Ms. Robinson's chilling one day when, boom, Mr. Thompson slides into her DMs back in 2010. Fast forward to 2015, he hits her up again with the big dad reveal. Wait till you see how Mr. Fresneda takes this news.
5 years later, 2015, he had reached out to me again. I have a copy of the Facebook message that he sent me saying like, hi, do you know who I am? And I had said no. And then that's when he had started explaining the situation of how he's supposed to be my dad and not George, and it was a big secret, and like everybody knew but nobody said anything about it.
And here comes Mr. Fresneda, totally aware of the whole dad drama. He's wishing Thompson had just come to him first instead of going through Facebook. Things are about to get real spicy with Aunt Felicia stepping into the mix.
I asked her mother that Jasmine was my firstborn, and that was good enough for me, Your Honor. We went on and had 4 more children after that, and they all belong to me. Now, by point in here, he would have addressed me before he sent her a Facebook or whatever. I know he couldn't be able to find me because we had no contact with each other. He lives in one town and I live in another.
Hold on to your popcorn because Aunt Felicia is about to stir the pot. She's seen some family resemblances that she just can't ignore and thinks there might be more to the story. The DNA results are up next, and they're a real game changer.
Did she ever mention to you that Mr. Thompson could potentially be Ms. Robinson's father?
She always denied it. If we brought it to her attention, she always said that Ladden was not Jasmine's father. Because as Jasmine was growing up, I, as the aunt, started seeing a little difference in the children.
You did?
I did.
The moment of truth. Judge whips out the DNA results, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Thompson. You are her father.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Sorry.
Really?
Sorry.
He left me for an older woman, and I feel that she put in his head that it's not his from the beginning because she thought I was messing around with some dude at her party.
Did come to my house with another guy.
Yeah, I wasn't messing around with him.
You were dry humping on the side of my house.
He was just dancing
Were
like
you?
this or whatever.
There was no dancing
whatever.
at that
But anyways,
party.
no. divorce. My mother is absolutely to blame. You know, I was born to the most irresponsible, selfish. You know, she already had a 3-year-old when I was born. So my mother should have known better not to be sleeping with multiple people at the same time. First 10 years of my life, I didn't even have a picture of this man.
Oh, well then let's pull up my Facebook page and let her.
Let's do that. Let Chris fight his own battles instead of letting you just.
No, how about that?
None of your business. What's going on in the courtroom?
Yes, that's my nephew and I raised him.
I don't care.
If that was his son.
Just like him out bucket.
Can you even handle this? Miss Morrow spills the beans that she's been bamboozled about who her dad is for a whopping 30 years. She struts into court to figure out if her bio dad is the guy she's been calling Pops or his bro, Mr. Curry. Buckle up, folks. It's about to get juicier.
Ms. Morrow, you say you've been living a lie 30 years. You stand before the court today ready to finally find out whether your biological father is the man you grew up believing to be your dad, or if his brother, the defendant, Mr. Curry, is your father.
All right, grab your popcorn. Mr. Curry drops a bombshell, admitting to a one-night stand with Miss Morrow's mom, tossing a wrench into the whole "who's your daddy" drama. He's skeptical about being the father, because plot twist, there could be other contenders. Just when you thought it was complicated enough, there's more ahead.
Now, Mr. Curry, you admit to sleeping with the plaintiff's mother one time after a wild night of partying. But you say you don't believe you're her biological father because there were other possibilities as well.
Whoa, did you catch that? The crowd gasps louder than my Aunt Mabel at a surprise party as Miss Morrow unveils this crazy tale of her real origin, full of twists that would make a pretzel jealous. Next up, things heat up even more.
The man that I thought was my biological father did a DNA test himself after 30 years. It came back that he wasn't my father. I lived this lie thinking that he was my father. I never met him until I was about 7 years old at a court hearing for child support or something. My mother brought me with her. I briefly stepped off the elevator. She said, "Amanda, this is your father."
Just when you're trying to catch a breath, Judge Lake and Miss Morrow get into the deep stuff, chatting about her non-existent relationship with the dude she thought was her dad. Emotional baggage alert. But wait, there's another curveball coming right up.
My mother said that when she was pregnant, he walked away, that he didn't want anything to do with me. So I never had a father on my birth certificate, never had a father in my life, but I always knew.
You see, my
You
brother always...
understood him to be your father. That's the person you thought.
My brother always believed that he was her father, until just recently, when he got this DNA test done. That's when I found out that apparently he wasn't either.
You gotta hear this one. The DNA test mess-up saga continues as Miss Morrow explains the epic fail of how her supposed dad botched the mailing of his sample. Yep, it sat in his car like an old fast food wrapper. Brace yourselves. The results are up next, and they're a doozy.
And he told me he left it in the car for 2 weeks, and then when he mailed it, it got mailed back to him because there wasn't enough postage on it. And then he mailed me my part of the kit. So that's when this all started. When he mailed me the part for me, he mailed me two samples. One for my mother, one for me. So Dave bought a DNA test because he always had questionable doubts. You know, he said he's my father, but he just wanted proof. I have a DNA kit here. I'm sending in my sample.
Bet you didn't see this coming. Mr. Curry confesses he did indeed have a fling with Miss Morrow's mom, which might just make the family tree a lot more tangled. As the plot thickens, the DNA test results are about to drop some major truth bombs.
I slept with her one time.
You slept with Miss Morrow's mother.
Correct. Then I introduced her at a party to my brother, which she started sleeping with him.
Like, why not say, I don't know who your father is? Why say this David Curry is my father? From the time 15, you let me meet him, go to his mother's funeral. So she told me on the phone. I kind of was like, you know, it hit me. I was upset. I mailed it in overnight. I told David I mailed it in. He still didn't pay for the payment.
The suspense is eliminating me. Everyone's on edge as the court waits for the DNA results that could end this family mystery once and for all. And I'm telling you, the results are about to shake things up big time.
His niece told me, listen, you need to talk to Uncle Ken. And he told me that. But what I want to know is why nobody told me this when you met me the first time, that you slept with my mother. You know, well, when I was 16.
See, the issue with me is only the one time, and then introducing her mother a couple of weeks.
This is the big reveal, folks.
Amanda, Mr. Kenneth Curry is not your father.
Buckle up, Buttercup. The session kicks off with Clark versus Newbie lighting up the screen. The judge gives a warm welcome, rolls out the red carpet of legal jargon, and lays down the scoop. Ms. Clark is adamant that Mr. Newbie is the daddy, but he's not buying any of it without a receipt. Grab your popcorn, because this is just the appetizer.
Ms. Clark, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Newbie, dated for only 3 months before you became pregnant with his baby. You say the relationship was moving forward until he left you for a woman you claim is old enough to be his mother. mother, it is your belief that she is the reason Mr. Newby is denying paternity.
Hold the phone. Mr. Newby isn't taking this lying down. He claims Ms. Clark was playing the field when the baby-making music was playing. He drops a bombshell. He'd fight for custody if the tyke is his, calling out Ms. Clark on her mommy merits. Fasten your seatbelts. It's about to get bumpy.
You say the plaintiff was involved with another man at the time she became pregnant. You do not believe you are the father of her child and claim it has nothing to do with your new girlfriend, Ms. Faulkner. You also say if the baby is yours, you will fight for custody because you believe the plaintiff is an unfit mother.
Oh boy, the gloves are off now. Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of ditching her for a cougar, causing the courtroom to erupt like a high school cafeteria. The judge has to play the cool principal simmer down the sass. Watch out, because the next bit has more twists than a pretzel factory.
He left me for an older woman, and I feel that she put in his head that it's not his from the beginning because she thought I was messing around with some dude at her party.
Did come to my house with another guy.
Yeah, I wasn't messing around with him.
You were dry humping on the side of my house.
He was just dancing
Were
like
you?
this or whatever on me.
There was no dancing at that
anyways,
party.
Grab the tissues, folks. Ms. Clark opens up a can of emotional whoop-ass, sharing her rough ride with drugs and family tragedies. It's a tale that tugs at the heartstrings, peaking with her fears of abandonment when Mr. Newby bailed. Stick around. The emotional roller coaster has a few more loops.
Your Honor, when I met him, I was in drug use, but we were together for 3 months. He was in drug use. When he left me, I felt abandonment because when I was younger, at 13 years old, and I am ashamed of that because, and then I went to jail though for 3 months, and while I was in there, I had time to think that I wanted to be clean for me and my son, so.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, bam, DNA test drama. Mr. Newby wanted a paternity test from the get-go, but Ms. Clark wasn't having any of it. The plot thickens and the stakes are high. The next reveal is a doozy, so don't wander off now.
At first, when I asked about the DNA test, when we first found out she was pregnant, I was like, okay, yeah, I want a DNA test. She was okay with it. And then after the baby's born, I asked for it. She freaks out, doesn't want to do it all of a sudden.
Is that true? Yes, that is true because I felt my baby was conceived the time that we were together. It wasn't conceived when I was with that other dude because I was only with that dude for a week.
Things are heating up as Mr. Newby talks big game about taking custody if he's the papa. He's questioning Ms. Clark's ability to mom it up, making this a key moment that could change everything. The tension's mounting, and you won't believe what's coming up next.
Please tell me why you feel this way.
How are you gonna be 7 months pregnant and then stick a needle into both of your guys' body,
Okay, but I
like
went
that
to jail
baby had
and
to
I'm
go
clean
through that
now,
for no
so.
reason. She didn't even give him a chance.
Now, Ms. Clark admitted that was absolute irresponsible action, which was inexcusable. I heard her say that.
It's the moment of truth. Time to drop the mic.
When it comes to 3-month-old baby Richard, Mr. Newby, you are the father.
Buckle up, because this is a wild start. Mrs. Ching Long lays it all out there. She's been in the dark about her dad, Mr. Otis, who supposedly died in a fire. Her mom, Ms. Barub, never pinned down who her dad was, which pretty much made her childhood a big old question mark. She's here today, DNA test in hand, hoping to finally get some answers about whether Mr. Otis really is her biological dad. You won't believe what's coming up next.
You claim you've never had a chance to know the man you believe is your father because he was tragically killed in a fire. You claim you've struggled for many years because your mother, Ms. Barabee, never established paternity for you as a child, created an unstable home environment, and left you with a lifetime of unanswered questions.
Get ready for a tearjerker moment. The courtroom dives into why Mr. Otis's family doubts Autumn's story, all because they think her mom wasn't playing ball back in the day. To add to the drama, the case got rushed because Mr. Otis's mom is sick and wants to know if Autumn is her grandkid before it's too late. Hold tight, because the next bit is a doozy.
Now, members of the Otis family are also in court today and will join us shortly. Your possible grandmother and uncle claim your mother was never willing to submit to a DNA test and thus have doubts. And she wants to know if you're really her granddaughter before she passes away.
Here's where the gloves come off. Autumn doesn't hold back one bit. She calls out her mom for a lifetime of poor decisions that left her fatherless. She's spilling all the tea about her mom's messy love life and how it's left her without a dad to call her own. The air's getting spicy, and it's only going to heat up from here.
My mother is absolutely to blame. I was born to the most irresponsible, selfish. She already had a 3-year-old when I was born, so my mother should have known better not to be sleeping with multiple people at the same time. First 10 years of my life, I didn't even have a picture of this man. We moved back to finally so I could meet him for the first time. He had passed away 2 years earlier.
Things are heating up now. In a fiery exchange, Ms. Barub claims she did her best to connect Autumn with her dad, despite life throwing curveballs her way. Autumn's not having it, though. She's upset that some random guy's name is on her birth certificate. surrogate instead of her real dad's. Stick around, because the next part is a real jaw-dropper.
He got in a relationship with a really bad person. I got married to a very controlling man. My ex-husband moved me 1,700 miles to Arkansas.
But my birth certificate doesn't have his name on it. It has somebody else's name that she was with at the time of my birth.
I was living with.
She was living with. So she always says.
So it's not your stepfather. It's not who
It was
you've
my
been
first
told is your
relationship
biological father.
before her father.
It's a third person.
No, this is my first boyfriend.
Oh, the drama intensifies. The court probes into why Autumn never got to meet her dad, and it's a he said, she said mess about who kept whom from whom. Emotions are flying high as everyone's throwing accusations around about past choices that messed up Autumn's sense of who her family really is. You'll want to see what happens next. It's a real cliffhanger.
I told you my mother's delusional. She'll never own up to anything, and that's why we're in this predicament.
I'm the one that you're talking about. Own up.
We had moved back to Sacramento, California, which is where I was born and where we're from. She had told me, hey, you're finally going to get to meet your dad. You know, this was 1999. I was 10 years old. Whenever we would try to contact him, turns out he had passed away 2 years earlier in the fire. How can I be sad for somebody that I don't know and that I don't know for sure if it's my father?
Now things get real crunchy. Ms. Myers and Mr. Otis step up to dish their side of the story, and boy, do they have a lot to say. They're peeved about being left out of Autumn's life, blaming Ms. Baroob for the cold shoulder. This family tea is scalding hot, and the reveal of the paternity test results is just around the corner. You're gonna flip.
He was in labor. When James got home from work, he said, Valerie's having the baby, but we can't go. We don't know where she's at. And I said, well, she told me we couldn't go. So I didn't see the baby until she was about 2 months old.
I never called him.
Then how did we know you
I didn't even know their number. He moved around everywhere with Sherry.
You finally face the truth.
The whole thing.
Okay, let's get some order in court.
I tried to have paternity tests done from the get-go. I offered to pay for it.
Grab your popcorn. Here comes the big reveal. The moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are in. And guess what?
In the case of Autumn Chinglong, Mrs. Chinglong, James Otis was your father.
So here's Mr. Ahmad on cloud 9 about being a dad to little Nevaeh. He spills the beans about his joy at fatherhood. Then, bam, Ms. Day drops a bombshell that maybe, just maybe, another dude could be the dad. Ahmad's here in court to sort out this daddy dilemma. Brace yourself, because it's just the start of the soap opera.
Mr. Ahmad, you say you were overjoyed to be a father after the birth of your first child, 22-month-old Nevaeh. However, you claim that you were crushed when the defendant later told you another man could be her dad. You are here today to prove you are Nevaeh's father.
Talk about a plot twist. Ms. Day steps up and confesses that she's been unsure about Ahmad's dad's status from the get-go. She's all set to prove that another man is the real daddy-o today. Stick around, because things are about to get even spicier.
Ms. Day, you say that you were honest with Mr. Ahmad and told him from the beginning that you did not believe he was Nevaeh's dad. You plan to prove another man is Nevaeh's father today.
Get your tissues ready for this heart-tugger. Ahmad opens up about his previous tragic loss due to an ectopic pregnancy, making Nevaeh like a second shot at fatherhood. This guy waited 40 years to be a dad, and now he's wrapped up in a paternity pickle. You won't believe what comes next.
And so you found out she was pregnant and you were excited because this was your very first child.
Yes. And also, I've had a situation before where, I had lost a child because of an ectopic pregnancy. This was like my second chance, to have a child. 40 years to have a child. Now I come to find out that there could be a possibility that it's not mine.
Hold the phone. In a no-chill moment, Ms. Day sets the record straight. When she first told Ahmad about the bun in the oven, she was like, he might be yours or not. Talk about leaving a guy hanging. Keep watching. The drama ramps up from here.
And how I found out she was pregnant, she came one morning and then knocked on my window and said, well, I need to talk to you. And she says, well, I'm pregnant. This is your child.
No, I didn't say she was yours. I said she might be yours and she might not.
I really wasn't in love with Mr. Ahmad, but he was a good friend. We were having a sexual relationship. He looked after me, and I needed somebody to look after me at that point.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you think it can't get crazier, enter the birth certificate brouhaha. Ms. Day claims she asked Ahmad to hold off on signing until they were sure about paternity, but Ahmad went full steam ahead anyway. What was he thinking? Fasten your seatbelts, because there's more chaos to come.
When Nevaeh was born, were you present, Mr. Ahmad?
I was present the entire time she was pregnant. I cut the umbilical cord. I signed the birth certificate. After the baby was born, we left the hospital together. Matter of fact, her mother picked me up to go have when the baby was being delivered. Her own mother drove me to the hospital.
Here comes the judge with the receipts. Social media posts show Ms. Day singing Ahmad's praises as a stand-up guy and soon-to-be dad. These posts seem to say Ahmad's the dad, no takebacks, but wait till you see how these posts stir the pot even more.
We found some very interesting posts It says, Happy Father's Day to my child's father. Even though she's not here yet, he's already amazing. I'm proud to call him mine.
That's because he was there. He was there. He wanted to be her father. So
that was before she was born.
Yes.
Yikes. Talk about complicated. The courtroom learns Ms. Day's been juggling both Mr. Ahmad and Mr. Flowers. Each guy has played daddy in their own time. It's like a reality show with more court orders. Don't miss what happens next. It's a real jaw-dropper.
If you truly believe Mr. Ahmad is not her biological father, why worry him at all?
I don't call him. I barely ever ask him for anything. Mr. Flowers is my best friend, and he's always been there before me, before I even had a kid.
I'm out of this situation now, and my main deal is, what is the paternity of my baby? I say she's my baby.
And here it is, folks, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Flowers.
You won't believe this opener. Ms. Stanley hauls Mr. Williams into court, demanding a paternity test to prove he's not the dad of 3-year-old Ryan Alexander. Despite their previous fling, she's sure the test will clear things up. Buckle up, it's just starting to get juicy.
Ms. Stanley, you have dragged your former fling, Mr. Williams, to court for a paternity test to prove he did not father your 3-year-old son, Ryan Alexander. You admit to being intimate at the time of conception, but say today's results will prove your son does not have his DNA.
Here's where it gets spicy. Mr. Williams steps up, totally convinced that little Ryan Alexander is his mini-me. He throws shade, suggesting Ms. Stanley is pushing him out because her new beau doesn't want him in the picture. Wait till you see what's up next.
Mr. Williams, you say baby Ryan Alexander is the most important person in your life and claim the only reason Ms. Stanley is doubting that Ryan Alexander is your son is because she has a new man in her life and doesn't want you around. You're here with your Aunt Mary, who says she has proof to show that Ryan Alexander is your biological child.
Things are heating up. Enter Ms. Combs, rocking up with what she claims is solid proof that Ryan is indeed Mr. Williams' kiddo. She talks about Ms. Stanley's supposed wedding plans with Mr. Williams like it's some soap opera plot twist. Keep your eyes peeled. The drama's about to escalate.
I have proof of that, ma'am. Where she was texting me off of Facebook, asked me if I was Chris's aunt and that they were going to get married and she wanted me to do the wedding because I am a community chaplain. And I told her, yeah, and she asked me how much would I charge. I told her nothing because it's my nephew. She's nothing but about wanting somebody to try to use.
Whoa, things are really flying now. The court turns into a hot mess as everyone starts throwing accusations like confetti. Judge Lake has to step in to calm the storm and keep everyone on track. You ain't seen nothing yet?
Oh, well then let's pull up my Facebook page and let her...
Let's do that. Let Chris fight his own battles instead of letting you do.
How about that?
It's none of your business what's going on in the courtroom.
Yes, that's my nephew and I raised him.
I don't care.
That was his son.
Just like him out bucket.
Grab your popcorn, this part's a doozy. A fiery debate breaks out over some fishy messages that Ms. Stanley allegedly sent. She accuses Mr. Williams of sneaking into her Facebook. The plot thickens, and oh boy, it gets better.
So where do you think these messages are coming from?
Maybe because he had access to my cell phone.
That didn't come from cell phone, baby doll. It came from the messages that you sent me on Facebook, and it's even got the dates on there.
Exactly, access to my Facebook, which is downloaded on my phone.
Yeah, okay, I'm sure.
Hold the phone. Now we dive into the day Ryan was born. And guess what? Mr. Williams was MIA. Not even a text. The back and forth about why he wasn't at the birth adds another layer to this soap opera. The next revelation is a real kicker.
So, Mr. Williams, were you there when Ryan Alexander was born?
No, ma'am, I wasn't, because for one, she wouldn't even let me know she was having an emergency C-section at the hospital. I didn't know nothing about it the next day.
It's kind of hard to let you know anything, Mr. Williams, whenever I was put under station.
Did you not inform him on purpose?
I did not inform him on purpose.
Here's a twist for ya. Mrs. Stanley drops a bombshell, admitting she was also seeing another guy when Ryan was conceived. He bets he's the real dad. Things are getting tangled, and what comes next is even more startling.
Clearly you were in a relationship with another man as well during that time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you think he's the father?
Yes, I do, Your Honor, because I had slept with him more than I slept with Mr. Williams.
You're a straight low-down liar.
Whoever she could be with that would give her whatever they could get, because she was...
So now, Miss Combs, calm down. We're not going to start arguing across the aisle anymore.
And here's the grand finale. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Williams, you are not his father.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Your Honor.
Mrs. Chappelle kicks things off by staking her claim that Mr. Todd is definitely the dad of her daughter, Alicia. She suspects that Tad's denial is all thanks to his fiancée, Ms. Cullen, who doesn't seem too keen on her man hanging around Chappelle.
Ms. Chappelle, you say the defendant, Mr. Todd, is without a doubt your daughter, Walicia's biological father. You say the only reason he denies her is because his fiancée, Ms. Collins, doesn't want him in your life.
Ms. Chappelle hits Mr. Todd with a lawsuit for a whopping $2,475, all because she's drowning in babysitting bills and missed work wages ever since Todd stopped watching the kiddo.
Now you're suing Mr. Todd for $2,475 for babysitting expenses for lost wages.
As the room heats up, both parties clash with Ms. Chappelle, whipping out some paperwork to prove her points. Mr. Todd counters, denying he ever babysat or even knew about Ms. Chappelle's job.
Because I had a job, Your Honor, and he was babysitting the baby for me. I had to start paying $75 a week for babysitting fees and lost wages, so I had to quit my job, and I don't have a job anymore. And here's my papers right here.
I haven't never watched her baby, Your Honor. I don't even know when she had a job. I ain't never saw it with no, you never watched Walisa.
Mr. Todd dishes out why he thinks he can't be Walicia's dad, mainly because Ms. Chappelle was playing the field when Walicia was conceived.
Because at the time, she was messing around with other guys, and by me being young and just doing crazy stuff, I go and mess with her at the same time too, so she was messing with men. But this one never my girl. I was in a relationship with someone, so she felt.
So what you're saying, it was an understanding that you all unprotected sex, but that you also were having sex with other people.
Ms. Cullens recounts a spicy tale about how Ms. Chappelle allegedly went all action hero on her car windows. She's got receipts and a police report to back up her story of shattered glass and high drama.
On a particular day, I had dropped Mr. Todd off to pick up his phone.
Lies.
Actually, Miss Chappelle stole his phone.
I bought him a phone, you
Chappelle approached me and bust my window out of my car. Called the police on the scene. I have proof and I have a police report that she bust my windows out on my car.
Do you have that evidence here today?
I do, ma'am.
Ms. Cullens explains the living arrangement soap opera. They let Ms. Chappelle crash with them to sort out the baby daddy drama via a DNA test because Mr. Todd had his doubts.
When I first met Miss Chappelle with me and Mr. Todd, we let her move in.
You let Miss Chappelle move into the house with you two?
Yes, because where she was living at was not healthy for her, the baby. And when I had a conversation with Mr. Todd, he said, this is a girl trying to put a baby on me. Test to see if this is your baby, therefore that we can move forward with. It didn't work out that way.
A witness jumps into the fray, defending Ms. Chappelle's claim and detailing the timeline of her pregnancies, including when she started seeing Mr. Todd. This witness is here to stir the pot.
While she was carrying, after she delivered that other baby, then she ended up pregnant by him, which is Walicia, who looked just like him. But this young lady, I don't know nothing about her. I don't know her because she wasn't nowhere around when these two started messing around. He was on his first baby mama. That's who he was messing with at the time when he was messing with my daughter.
Oh!
The big moment hits as Judge Lake unveils the DNA results.
Ms. Chappelle, you came in suing the defendant for $2,475 in lost wages because you said he would not babysit for the child and you lost your job. And now, since we've determined that in fact Walicia is not his biological child, to babysit for this child, for that reason your claim is denied. Judgment for the defendant.
I would never hold anything from my children. Okay, and now accept being wrong because I can accept it from my son.
Why didn't you tell him, Miss Smith?
I ain't tell him because I cheated with my previous kid's father.
She called me like around 5-something, but I'm trying to test her and see how loyal she is,
You don't have to test nobody that you're in a relationship
I'm trying to see how loyal she is. 3 in the morning, knock on the door.
But I don't owe you nothing. You owe me nothing. I don't owe you nothing. It's never too late for a mother to love her child. It is never too late.
Around the time I got pregnant with Kamaya, I went and slept with him twice.
Without protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
She come to the window, guy walk right out. Wasn't nothing open up in there that night but leg. Feel me? And she said she ain't did nothing. And she said she ain't
So here it comes, the big bombshell. Miss Moore spills the beans right before her son steps in. She confesses to a decades-old fling with not one, but 2 guys and never told her son about it. The court's already done a paternity test, and those results are ready to drop today. You'll want to stick around because the drama is just heating up.
To present his case against you, you haven't seen your son since a lifelong secret became exposed just 2 months ago. Now, Ms. Moore, what was the secret that you kept for almost 3 decades?
29 years ago, I had an affair
between two guys, and I didn't tell my son.
Just when you think it's a regular day in court, Mr. Weeks throws a curveball. He starts to spill the tea on why he thinks the man who raised him might not be his bio dad. Ever since he was a little tyke, whispers in the family hinted at something fishy. His mom always brushed it off, shutting down the convo with a firm, "Maurice is your dad." End of story. But wait, there's more to this story. Keep watching.
It started around like I was 9 years old. I kept hearing rumors from outside family members that Maurice might not be my father or I might not be his son.
Your Honor, he never asked me. Had my son asked me, I would have told him.
I told her, you know, I came to her and asked her. She always told me, Maurice is your father.
And then, the plot thickens. Miss Moore is on the defensive, tackling accusations that she never faced questions about the paternity thing. She claims she'd have told the truth if only her son had asked straight up. But she also didn't want Granny throwing a fit, so she kept it zipped. Things are about to get even juicier, so don't go anywhere.
He never asked me. Quite honestly, if my son had asked me, I would have told him, but I would have also told him not to say anything because I didn't want my mother to know. My mother has rejected my daughter. Yes, I didn't want another child rejected. I grew up stern with those beliefs that a child out of wedlock was not going to be accepted by her.
Oh boy, here's where it gets awkward. A random family reunion at the corner store uncovers the secret. When trying to connect a family member with his dad over the phone, the relative acts clueless, triggering Mr. Weeks to confront his mom for the real scoop. This revelation was like dropping a hot potato. Now watch as it gets even hotter.
I went to the corner store, you know, just give me some. I see another family member of mine. He asked me how my father was. I told him he's doing fine. You want to talk to him? He said yes. So I went in my pocket, brought my phone out, called him right there on the spot. As soon as he got on the phone, he said, "Oh, my bad. I got the wrong number." He gave me back the phone. No, we had a little awkward moment, like...
Basically, he was implying Maurice wasn't your father.
Right.
Now, Miss Moore takes the stage to lay out her emotional roller coaster of a life story. She talks about the tough choices she had to make to keep her family together with Maurice, who stepped up as the dad figure despite the secrets. She's laying it all out there, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. It's a doozy.
A couple of months ago, he broke out. He came into town. I didn't even know my son was coming into town. He came out with it. I told him. I didn't know. Had he asked me at 9, if he had said anything at 18 when he graduated, yes, I still would have told him, but I would have still said, don't tell your grandmother.
Get ready for some serious feels. Miss Moore dives deep into her soul, sharing how heavy this secret has weighed on her all these years. She paints a picture of a time when family shame was a big no-no, and keeping this kind of secret was her way of shielding her kids from grandma's harsh judgments. The emotional floodgates are open, and there's more coming down the river.
When I was living with 2 other children, plus Earl, with a man who accepted my children, who Earl know for a fact had a baby from 6 months old to 5 years old. Earl was on the road with this man. He bonded with this man. He loved this man. Jackie, I will be there for your children through everything. That I wasn't going to jeopardize my other children just for one.
Here comes a truth bomb that shakes everything up. Miss Moore finally admits to doubting Mr. Weeks' paternity as he grew up looking less and less like Maurice. This confession is a gut punch to everyone involved, and she regrets the pain it caused. Hang on, because the next part of this saga is a real tearjerker.
In a very short time frame, like maybe 24 to 48 hours. And then it became more doubtful as Earl started growing, and I noticed the difference.
So this has been a painful secret for you to just hold in.
My whole life I had doubts, yes, because I noticed things with Earl that wasn't a part of Maurice, didn't resemble Maurice. I lived it with him.
Just when you think it's all been said, Mr. Weeks lays his heart on the line. He expresses how crushed he is by the ongoing deception and how it's messed with his head and home life. The feels are real, folks. And guess what? There's an even bigger reveal just around the corner.
Mr. Weeks, did you grow up loving Maurice?
I grew up crazy about this man. Like I had to be in his pocket just to make sure he don't leave me.
That's true.
It hurt that I had to come, both of them, I had to come to them about it.
And I can imagine that it's not hurting you, but also your relationship. And for that, I would love to have you stand, ma'am.
Tempers flare and things get heated. As Miss Moore clashes with Mr. Weeks' fiancé, who calls her out for keeping such a massive secret, the judge has to step in to cool everyone down. It's like a soap opera in here. And the next scene is guaranteed to be just as spicy.
I would never hold anything from my children. You was wrong for that.
Okay, and now accept being wrong because I can accept it from my son. But I don't owe you nothing.
You owe me everything.
I don't owe you nothing. I didn't sleep with you. I didn't make no babies with you. It's never too late for a mother to love her child. It is never too late.
Hold on to your popcorn. Here comes the grand finale.
Weeks, the man who has raised you for the past 29 years, is not your biological father. Help her.
No, don't change her too much.
Judge Lake addresses Ms. Hauser's claim that her ex-husband, Mr. Campbell, walked out on her and their son Michael over 3 decades ago. Ms. Hauser asserts that Michael has faced significant medical challenges since childhood, which prompts her request for a DNA test to confirm paternity and possibly understand Michael's health issues.
Ms. Hauser, you claim your ex-husband unexpectedly walked out on you when your son, Michael Campbell, was 5 months old. You say your son has had medical problems since he was a child, and you have petitioned the court for a DNA test in order to hopefully find a solution for a life-debilitating condition.
Mr. Campbell counters Ms. Hauser's claims by expressing his long-held belief that he is not the father of her son, Michael. He anticipates that the DNA test results will vindicate him by proving he is not related, thus clearing his name from associated responsibilities and claims.
Mr. Campbell, you say you never believed the plaintiff's son belonged to you, and today's result will prove your case and clear your name.
The court delves into the background of Ms. Hauser and Mr. Campbell's relationship, which began in high school. Despite knowing Ms. Hauser was pregnant, Mr. Campbell agreed to an elopement influenced by familial pressures and their young love, even though he harbored doubts about being the biological father.
Mr. Campbell and I met when I was a junior and he was a senior in high school. What ended up happening was mid to late July, early August, I became pregnant. We discussed it, figured out to get married. We eloped because Mr. Campbell's father hated me.
Really?
Absolutely could not abide me.
A pivotal moment arises when Mr. Campbell reveals that he never believed he was Michael's father, leading Judge Lake to question the rationale behind signing the birth certificate and his subsequent actions, including an attempt to seek custody post-divorce.
You did not?
No, I never believed for 1 second it was.
If Mr. Campbell was not Michael's father, why did he sign the birth certificate? Why, when we got divorced and his family tried to get custody of Michael?
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, ma'am. I was in basic training in the Army when Michael was born.
Did anybody bring a copy of this birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Mr. Campbell admits he knew from the start of their marriage that Michael was not his child, raising questions about his motives for marrying Ms. Hauser and the authenticity of their relationship, given the complexities surrounding Michael's conception and birth.
You're saying you knew soon as when you married her that this wasn't your child. So why marry a woman pregnant with another man's child and you don't believe there's any possibility that it's yours?
She was my first love, and we were kids, and I thought, we would make the perfect high school romance, live together forever, ignorance is youth kind of thing.
Ms. Hauser recounts the deterioration of their marriage after moving to South Carolina, detailing how financial and custodial struggles emerged shortly after Michael's birth, culminating in Mr. Campbell's abrupt departure and their eventual divorce.
Mr. Campbell in South Carolina while he was enlisted. And then when Michael was 4 months old, I moved into a mobile home court, a boyfriend and a girlfriend and one of their friends, and Michael and I. It was a 3-bedroom. There was nothing going on between any of us. It was just cheaper to live that way.
The moment of truth arrives.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Campbell, you are not the father.
Oh my.
Mr. Jones starts off the courtroom drama by throwing down the gauntlet, challenging the paternity of Ms. Milan's 3-month-old munchkin, Quinnell Jr. He's been playing daddy to her +6, and now he's got a $1,500 bill for her for rooming. Ms. Milan's in a tight spot, admitting she might have played the field a bit too freely.
You and your mother are co-plaintiffs who have brought the defendant, Ms. Milan, to court to prove her 3-month-old son, Quinnell Jr., is not your biological child. You claim you took Ms. Milan and her other 6 kids into your home, and now she's trying to take you for a ride by claiming this baby is yours.
Ms. Milan is standing her ground, insisting Mr. Jones is the real daddy, despite the mess and stress. He's up against Mr. Jones's mom, too, who's not buying what Ms. Milan is selling for 1 minute. The court's heating up with all these fiery exchanges, and no one's backing down.
Ms. Milan, though you do admit to cheating on Mr. Jones with another man, you say you're unsure if you were already pregnant when you cheated. You say you're here today to prove to Mr. Jones and his meddling mother, once and for all, that Mr. Jones is without a doubt the biological father of baby Quinnell Jr.
As the plot thickens, Ms. Milan spills the beans about their bedroom blunders and Mr. Jones's supposed infertility. Yeah, he was told as a teen he couldn't father kids. Both are tossing out accusations like hot potatoes, with trust in short supply, drama on the rise. Court's in session, and everyone's leaning in to hear the dirt.
Of having unprotected sex would be that you would become pregnant.
He always said he couldn't have children, that the doctor told him.
Why'd you say you couldn't have children, Mr. Jones?
Because I used to play sports in school, have a full body physical, and they told me that I wasn't able to have kids.
So during a physical, they told you you would be unable to have children?
Yes, ma'am.
The tension's palpable as Ms. Milan lays out the timeline of her pregnancy, pointing fingers at both Mr. Jones and her ex. Timing is everything, and hers is as tight as a late-night talk show monologue. With everyone on edge, the room's buzzing about who the real daddy could be.
You found out she was pregnant. Even though she said it could be yours or it could be my ex's, did you step up?
I wanted to make sure if it's a possibility of being my child, I want to be able to go back and tell these stories and say I was there doing this when he was being born. I'm right there holding her hand, watching everything.
I was at the hospital, like I told my son, just be there until we find out otherwise, because I raised him without a father.
Here comes the moment of truth, and boy, it's a bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jones, you are not the father.
So here's a twist no one saw coming. Ms. Tucker drops a bombshell, revealing the earth-shattering news that the defendant, Mr. Hunter, might actually be her biological dad after all. This shocker came out of nowhere a decade ago, and her mom spilled the beans, even though she'd grown up believing another guy was her pops. Let's see how Mr. Hunter takes this curveball.
Miss Tucker, you believed another man was your dad until a bomb was dropped on you 10 years ago when your mother admitted that the defendant is your biological father. You opened your case to prove to Mr. Hunter that he is your dad.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Mr. Hunter isn't buying it yet. He's got a truckload of doubts about being Ms. Tucker's old man, thanks to some past drama where Ms. Tucker's mom said he wasn't the father. His standoffish vibes and skepticism about the whole dad deal just add more spice to the drama stew. You won't want to miss what's up next.
Mr. Hunter, you admit you have distanced yourself from the plaintiff because you have serious doubts you are her father. Miss Tucker, you admit you initially lied to your daughter, but claim you and Mr. Hunter have always known that he is her father.
Talk about a paternity rodeo. Ms. Tucker lays out her struggle to pin down Mr. Hunter for a DNA test, which he's dodged not once, but twice, like a pro. All this runaround has left her with a major identity crisis and a bucket load of stress. Buckle up because her mom's about to throw in her 2 cents.
Few years, I have been trying to get Charles to do a DNA test with me. I scheduled a test, he didn't show up, and it's just a lot of confusion in my own mind and very traumatic to me. I'm trying to figure out if he's my father or not to close this chapter in my life because I grew up thinking someone else was my father.
Here comes the plot twist. Mom, aka Ms. Tucker, fesses up to fibbing about the daddy details to shield her daughter from what she thought was Mr. Hunter's bad influence. This mommy confession session opens up a can of worms about the tangled web of family ties they're all caught up in. Get ready, because the emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
I wanted to find out who her father really is also. Well, I had doubts because her mother told me that I wasn't 30 years ago, so.
Miss Tucker, you hear your daughter speak? You say you and Mr. Hunter have always known that he was her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. I told her that someone else was her father at the time in order to protect her. I felt like Mr. Hunter was not a good role model.
You're not gonna believe this. Imagine finding out over a phone call that the guy you thought was your dad isn't. That's the kind of soap opera twist Ms. Tucker faced in 5th grade, shaking up her world and giving her a serious case of the Who's My Daddy blues. Stick around because the plot thickens even more.
I was in the 5th grade and his sister had came and got me one weekend like she always did. They were on the phone and I was over listening to their conversation with her telling him that, and it was my first time ever talking to him. I was really excited, but I wanted to know, where was he? Why was he not around? And that's when he told me that my mom was not being honest with me.
Just when you thought it couldn't get weirder. As a teen, Ms. Tucker bumps into a lady who drops another dad bomb, suggesting Mr. Hunter could be her real father. But plot twist, Mom waves it off as gossip, thickening the plot and the family mystery. The tea is piping hot, and Mr. Hunter's about to give his side of the story.
I was in the 7th grade. Where we're from is very small, so I was at a store. There's a woman who knows them both. Told me, she said, you look just like your dad. So I go, oh, you know my dad? And I said his name, and she goes, that's not your dad. So I went home, and I did tell my mom what she said, but my mom just said she was lying, so she didn't know what she was talking about.
Crank up the drama dial. Mr. Hunter rewinds the tape to his younger days when he and Ms. Tucker's mom were an item, and she told him the baby wasn't his. This led him to peace out for over a decade, leaving room for rumors, half-truths to fill the void. Fasten your seatbelts. His school visit confession is a real jaw-dropper.
She told me she was pregnant. She said the baby wasn't mine. I left and I got my life together. And I stayed gone for 15, 16 years. I came back to North Carolina hearing rumors that she was mine. So what am I supposed to do when someone tells me I'm not the father? I move on with my life.
But even though he said he went off what my mom said, I was in middle school and the young woman that is like his daughter.
Did he just say that? In a surprise school visit, Mr. Hunter claims he's Ms. Tucker's dad, flipping the script and stirring up a whole new level of family drama. This bombshell leads to heated discussions about who's responsible for the truth in their tangled tale. The DNA results are just around the corner, and they're gonna be a doozy.
So, Mr. Hunter, did you show up at the school and tell Miss Tucker I'm your father?
That was a long time ago. I vaguely remember that conversation when she was at that school.
You don't pull a child out of school
father.
and then tell him a joke that I think I'm your father. So that's not gonna fly with me. Come with some new testimony that makes sense.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hunter, you are not the father.
So, we're kicking things off with a bang. Ms. Smith marches into court, ready to prove to her fiancé, Mr. Hopkins, that he is indeed the daddy of their adorable 2-year-old munchkin, Kamya. She's all in, betting everything that the DNA test will call him Papa. Buckle up, it's about to get wild.
Miss Smith, you've petitioned the court today to prove to your fiancé that he is the biological father of your beautiful 2-year-old daughter, Kamaya. Mr. Hopkins, you don't believe that you are Kamaya's biological father and say today's negative result would end all wedding plans.
Yes, Your Honor.
And boom, Mr. Hopkins drops a truth bomb. He's not buying the daddy title so easily because, get this, Ms. Smith has tossed out "you're not the father" a few times during their spats. Yep, it's like something straight out of a daytime TV drama with less hair pulling. Just wait till you hear what's next.
I got doubt for my own reasons. For one, she told me herself a couple of times, numerous of times, that in an argument that Kamaya wasn't mine. And
just to make you mad, it wasn't to...
That ain't how you,
But you said that, Miss Smith? You said Kamaya's not your child?
Your Honor, I done threw birthday parties for Kamaya. A second birthday party I threw for her. I provided.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Things get spicy. As Ms. Smith admits she's been playing the "you are not the dad" card just to get under Mr. Hopkins' skin during their arguments. It's her go-to move in the argument playbook, apparently. But oh, the plot thickens. Mr. Hopkins has a receipt for every diaper he's ever bought. Let's see how this financial drama unfolds.
What does it profit you
just
to tell a man that you truly believe is your child's father during an argument that he's not?
It was to make him mad because I know that really bothers him because he
and now he's countersuing you for $2,500 because now that he feels doubtful as to whether the child is his, he wants the money back that he's given to help support her.
Oh, snap. Mrs. Smith confesses to a little side hustle with her ex around the time little Kamya was conceived. The audience gasps, the judge raises an eyebrow, and suddenly, it's not just a paternity test we need. It's a full-blown soap opera script. Don't touch that dial. Drama level is about to skyrocket.
Why didn't you tell him, Miss Smith?
I ain't tell him because I cheated with my previous kid's father. Around the time I got pregnant with Kamaya, I went and slept with him twice.
Without protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, bam, evidence time. Posts from Mrs. Smith's ex are making the rounds, claiming he's the real daddy. Mr. Hopkins' face must have been a picture. This courtroom has turned into a circus, and the clowns are just getting started.
Oh, this is a post from her ex saying
that
the wifey and our new baby Kamaya. You testify that you have no doubt that Mr. Hopkins is Kamaya's father.
I do feel he's her father. She looked like him, like they eyes, they nose.
Your ex been excluded by a previous DNA test?
No.
Time for the main event, the verbal smackdown. Both sides are throwing everything but the kitchen sink across the courtroom. It's a he said, she said showdown that could rival any reality TV show finale. And guess what? The next part is the cherry on top of this courtroom sundae.
She just a hee and ha and holding hands with him. I was like, girl, stop the madness. Did you or did you not have on a red and white top with some red and white pants? But that wasn't you.
Before. No, look. Wait a minute,
Well, wait a minute.
She's that
Well,
one,
would
so all that
only-
is a lie.
would not only lend credibility
why would
to
you
her
say yeah,
testimony
then?
that she knew it was you if she knew you had that outfit?
She a lie.
Tell the truth.
No,
were you
no,
were you
I was
there?
not in no Applebee's.
Okay.
The tension could be cut with a knife. DNA results time. Everyone's on the edge of their seats, waiting to see if Mr. Hopkins is the father or just a guest star in this family drama. The envelope, please. And prepare yourself, because this revelation is a doozy.
You got something to say, man? Seem like you do. Keep on you holding us up. I want to know.
I don't want to
know
lose
now.
my family, but she ain't yours.
What I tell you?
So I took for all this for you to tell me this.
I don't think she yours. I don't know, man. I don't want to lose you.
Do you want the truth or do you not?
I would like the truth.
The moment of truth arrives with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer.
Mr. Hopkins, you are not Kamaya's father.
Guess what's popping off today? Judge Lake kicks off the show with the case of Commons versus Baker, where Ms. Commons is dragging Mr. Baker to court to nail down paternity for her daughter, Reza. Ms. Commons is totally over it, saying Mr. Baker was all daddy mode at first, but now he's acting all brand new because he thinks she cheated.
Ms. Commons, you claim the defendant has been denying your 2-year-old daughter Breeze and refuses to do anything for her. You are furious and testify that you are certain he is the father and plan to prove that today.
Here's where the tea starts spilling. Mr. Baker drops the bomb that he started doubting he's Breeze's dad after a previous courtroom drama on Couples Court showed Ms. Commons might have played him. The audience is eating it up, and you can cut the tension with a knife.
Mr. Baker, you claim you were a loving father for the first 1.5 years of Breeze's life until 5 months ago when you appeared in Couples Court and learned Ms. Commons cheated. You say Ms. Commons is a liar, but the DNA does not lie and will prove that you are not Breeze's biological father.
Things are heating up now. Ms. Commons spills about how Mr. Baker's new attitude is messing with their toddler, Brez. She says Brez is all about hugs and cuddles, and Mr. Baker's cold shoulder is breaking hearts left and right.
He know how my baby is affectionate. My baby got a skin fetish. She like to rub on people. So that hurt my feelings when he be like, go to your mama, and she be like, and she wants you. She knows
and that makes
you
emotional when
exactly. It makes me emotional because the way she loves us, like the way she rubs his face. They got this little nose thing that they do. He be like, give me your nose, and she just be so happy. She be smiling and everything. She loves her dad.
Boy, oh boy, check this out. Mr. Baker is seriously bugged by Ms. Commons' sketchy past, claiming all her secret texts and mystery calls got him wondering if little Breeze is even his. This bit is chock full of suspicion and side-eye.
First of all, I got doubts because everything that come out of her mouth a lie. All the stuff she did in the past, just cheating with multiple people. Cheating with multiple people. I could catch her like, if her phone bing, she hide it.
If my phone bing,
people steady.
You just want it. It could be, if my phone bing, it could be Jesus Christ. He gonna think it's I'm sleeping with.
Oh my gosh.
It's an exclusive.
All right.
Y'all won't believe this plot twist. In a wild move, Mr. Baker pretends he's out for the night to see if Ms. Commons would invite another dude over. And surprise, surprise, he catches her with another guy. Talk about a loyalty test gone wrong. Strap in, because there's more drama ahead.
On 2 different days, though. It was a weekend, right? Basically, I'm gonna say this. One weekend, right, Friday, I'm going out, I go hang with the homies or whatever. She called me like around 5 something. But I'm trying to test her and see how loyal she is,
You
right?
don't have to test nobody
So
that you're in a
look, I'm
relationship
trying to see
with.
how loyal she is. 3 in the morning. Knock on the door. She come to the window. Guy walk right out. Wasn't nothing open up in there that night but legs. Feel me? And she
One of
say
those
she
legs
ain't
open
did
up
nothing.
that night.
Just when you think it can't get any crazier, Mr. Baker's sister steps up and throws even more shade on Ms. Commons, saying she's seen her running around with different dudes. It's like a soap opera with these two, honestly.
Me and Mary been friends, best friends, for 10 years. We used to run the streets together, which means like we was double dating, kicking it, going back to the clubs and stuff. And to fast forward up after that,
We get down together. If that's
And
the case, why you ain't been tell your brother like, don't get down with her, we got down together?
I did tell my brother, but he was 19 up at telling him about you.
No,
and I
you
felt
was-
like that you was just older and you taking advantage of him.
Now, the moment of truth, everyone's on the edge of their seat as Judge Lake reads out the paternity test results, and boom.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Baker, you are the father.